Good morning. My name is Barbara Fuller, and as Chair of the Board, I welcome you to this October 21st, 2025 working session of the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners. Shelby Rockawick, our office coordinator, will describe how our meetings operate, how to access the agenda packet, and how people may participate remotely. Shelby.
There are multiple ways to make public comment during today's working session, whether you are joining us in person or virtually. If you are here in person and would like to make public comment, please fill out the sign-in sheet now. If you are joining us virtually, we will ask you to raise your hand at the appropriate time in the agenda. If you are joining us virtually and are experiencing technical issues with audio or video during the meeting, submit a comment in the chat feature and our communications manager will help you troubleshoot. If you would like closed captioning during this meeting, you will have to manually change your settings. Click on the Captions button and select Show Captions. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be posted to wcroads.org in the next few days. There are printed copies of today's meeting agenda on the table near the front door, and it is also posted on our website. And now I'll turn it over to Chair Fuller.
Thank you, Shelby. I now call this October 21st, 2025 regular meeting to order and ask Shelby to call the roll.
Chair Barb Fuller.
Present.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Present.
The following directors are in attendance: Managing Director Matt Washtenaw, Director of Engineering and County Highway Engineer Brent Schlack, Director of Finance Dan Ackerman.
Thank you. Given that we do not have a quorum here this morning, Commissioner Green and Commissioner Smers had indicated previously that they would be unable to attend the working session. Commissioner Yamas is absent at this time, so we will bypass approval of the agenda because we do not have a quorum for doing so. And we will move on then to public comment. Shelby, if you would describe how that works.
Since this is a hybrid meeting with both in-person and virtual attendees, we will take turns between those attending in person and virtually. If you are attending this meeting virtually and would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. If you dialed into the meeting from your phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. Our communications manager will unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time and will announce your username or last four digits of your phone number when it's your turn to speak. Please share your name and address before beginning your comments.
Thank you. And as we have noted previously, this is the time set aside to receive comments from the public, not intended to be a period for dialogue, and each person will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board. Are there any hands raised or people wishing to comment at this time?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We will move on then with the agenda of the working session as it is outlined. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to our Managing Director, Mr. Washtenaw.
Thank you, Chair Fuller. I'd like to first start out by welcoming up Dan Ackerman. He's going to introduce a new face to the crowd, our Assistant Finance Director, Connie.
Good morning, Board. Dan Ackerman, Director of Finance. It's my pleasure to announce our Assistant Director of Finance, Connie Kampola. Did I get that right? Kampola. Connie has a wealth of experience with municipalities. She also, prior to that, was an auditor and just brings a wealth of knowledge. We are already impressed with her knowledge and her skill set, and she will be my replacement. I'm eligible to retire in January of 2027, so I will still be around for a while, but that gives us a long time together to kind of learn. I told her I'll teach her everything I know. It'll probably take about a week, so maybe a little longer, but anyway. But we're really pleased that she decided to come join us. And Connie, if you can say a few things.
Yeah.
Identify yourself for us, please.
Yes, Connie Kampola, Assistant Finance Director as of yesterday for the Washtenaw County Road Commission. So it is a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to have joined your organization. Of course, before I accepted, I also vetted your organization, and you have highest comment or compliments from all walks of life in terms of how well this organization is run and what a great staff that is here. And so I'm just really very excited to be able to join the commission and the road commission and do all the good work. So thank you.
Welcome, Connie.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you so much. All right, well, first on the agenda, besides introductions, is our communication update. So I'd like to welcome up our communication manager, Tiffany Oliphant, and she will take us through a presentation on the communication update.
Hi, good morning. Tiffany Oliphant, Communications Manager. How you doing?
Good
I'm
morning.
usually in the background doing all things the Zoom and everything like that. So a lot of times people don't see me until this communication update. So I just want to say hello and good morning, and we're going to get to the communications update here. Okay, so our agenda for the communications update will be meet the team. My team now is fairly new. We have a lot of new faces on our team, as you'll meet them. Go through our philosophy. You're familiar with our communication toolbox. I show you all of the tools that I use in my toolbox to help get our message out, and just some projects we've been working on. So we'll go through that. Okay, so we're going to meet the team. So, Dawn Poinier, Dawn is right here. You've met Dawn. I've introduced you guys to Dawn. Dawn is our communications associate. She's come here with a wealth of knowledge. She's very familiar with the area. She's, like she told you, 90 days. She's been here 90 days already, and she's just hit the ground running. She's a wonderful asset to the team. She's our newest member of the team. And I can't just say, I'm so great to have you here with us, and you've been a wonderful addition, and please, I just thank you so much, okay?
Glad to be here.
So, can tell you a little bit about what Dawn does for us, for the organization. She handles our customer service. She's your first person if you walk into the doors, you see Dawn's beautiful face, and she gives you a smiling face, and she's a welcoming spirit, and she is great for people who have to just come in as well into the doors of WCRC to greet them and figure out where they need to go. So that's including the phones, radio, email, etc. She takes care of all of that front facing. She doesn't do it by herself, but she's our first line of so-called offense, I'll say, not defense, she's offense. She does construction communication, so right now, she's in the training phases of the virtual public meetings. She's been attending our public meetings, so then here next year, she'll take over our public meetings, where she'll take and run the public meetings at this point, right? So right now, I have been doing them as I'm training her up, but next year, she will take over that. Road advisory, she's taken that on wonderfully. She takes care of that. She sends out all the road advisories, as you will see later on in the presentation. Project updates, she's been taking on that now. So again, we do a slow walk into the training, so she's been taking on that as well. Social media, she's been upping our social media game, which that is something that I want to make sure that we're always taking care of our social media, because that is a way we get to our audience. And that is how we can get our story out and tell people where we are and what we're doing. You'll see that a little bit further, and why that's crucial to how we get our narrative out there as where we are. We're big in orange. You got to tell people where we're going. The weekly update. Right now, Shelby's doing the weekly update, but we all work together. There's not an I in team, so we all work together. We take care of this together. So that's something. And then she takes care of the weekly road work schedule. She does that. So that's really important, and you'll see that later on in the presentation of how important that is. And the claims processing. So if someone comes and says we either did something to their vehicle, to their property or something like that, we have to process it and then go over to our third party. Dawn and Shelby take care of that together. Like I said, there's a lot of togetherness right now in the team that we're doing cross training. So that's what Dawn does.
Thanks, Dawn.
Mhm. Our office coordinator, Shelby, there you are, Shelby, and she's right here. And she also works in our with our communications team. Shelby also does customer service and answers the phones and radio and email. When I say radio, that is communicating with our drivers out on out when they are driving and they tell us, you know, hey, we have to close a road or something of that nature. Then we have to get it out um, to emergency services to say, hey, you can't get around that. You can't go through that road, but you can get around or anything of that nature. So that is what the radio is. So that's the drivers communicating with us via the radio. She's also the board secretary. So what that means is she takes care of all things board, everything board packet, board agenda, the videos you see on YouTube, the calendar, the website, everything board Shelby takes care of. So that is her her position and what she does. Freedom of Information Coordinator, everything that comes in with the Freedom of Information request, Shelby takes care of those. I then back her up if she's off, obviously, but she takes care of those. She's been doing a wonderful job. Shelby has then started this position, I want to say since June now. She started that position because she was our communications associate. And then office management, anything the office needs, Shelby makes sure that we have all of that as far as supplies, anything that needs to be ordered. Shelby takes care of that. Along with other things, obviously. We do all the other things, but this is just a few things that we take care of. And myself, what I do. I supervise the staff and I obviously oversee all of our channels. And you'll see that my channels meaning my toolbox. So I have to make sure that we're doing things and speaking in one voice, and we are all looking at things at the agency's best. I'll say, I'm sorry, I just got a little brain thing. The agency's best best voice, best having the agency at the forefront, making sure the agency looks good at the end of the day. Event planning, I'm always planning events. I have several events I'm planning right now, as a matter of fact, in my toolbox. From the pancake to the WCRC internal, those are 2 internal events, to our touch of trucks, to our parades, to all of the things, anything someone requests from us, I am the go-to person to make sure that that gets done. Videos, typically, I'm training all the ladies, I'm trying to train the ladies on videos. I'll be training Dawn on videos, but technically speaking, I will be doing some more videos as we're getting trained and up to speed. Media spokesperson, obviously when the media reaches out, either I will do the interview or the experts, the engineers, because they are the engineers, I'm not. So I will, between the two of us, we'll figure out who can best speak in that situation. And I support all the senior leadership, whatever they need, letters, anything of that nature, I take care of that. Also the board, whatever they need as far as that parts, whatever you guys need. Okay, so the philosophy. This is key as far as how we operate. So as communication staff, we are generalists. We have done a little bit of everything. We got to know who's doing what and that kind of thing and what they do, the operations team, how they're doing things, engineering, permits. We have to know a little bit of everything. So that's why we're communication generalists. That's key. What we also do is we underpromise. We don't want to basically say we're going to do something and then we don't do it. We want to deliver. We want to be accurate, and we want to make sure that we are delivering on what we say. That's key to any organization. And if we know we'll be there, let's tell them. I say that all the time. Are you disrupting anything for the motorists, for the traveling public? That is key. If we are doing anything that the traveling public is going to ask us why, where, what are you doing over there? Even if we're not shutting the road down, but we're working in the shoulder, people still call us and ask us, what are you doing over there? And so sometimes that just should go on the weekly roadwork schedule. And so that's what we've been doing. So a lot of permit projects will go on the weekly roadwork schedule because people will ask us. And again, I'm gonna show you why that's so important. The next thing, we say no a lot and we have to explain why it's no. We can't do everything. We can't do all things, but when we can do something, we'll do it. But when we can't, we have to have a good explanation of why. And then we all back each other up as far as the no is the no, whether it's Dawn, whether it's Shelby, it's me, Matt, whomever, they all are saying no, but maybe a different way, but we're all still saying no, that we have to just do that. One can't say yes and then the other. That doesn't go well when you're talking about, under promising and delivering. That doesn't work well in that. Also, this is my favorite. See it, say it. If you see it, you got to say it. Our brains and how we digest information is key. We don't just, if you just tell it to me, that's enough. That's not, sometimes I have to see what you're saying. That's why when you see these board meetings, you'll see me put a map up. You'll see me put up a picture of what the directors are talking about, because then you can say, oh, now I've seen that vehicle, or I've seen that piece of equipment before. Now I know what it does. Or now I know where that location is. Oh, that's by the McDonald's. Everybody doesn't do street names, but they'll do, oh, that's by that McDonald's, or that's by that, or that's around near 94, or I don't know that street name, or something of that nature. But when you can see the map full on, those are things. So that's why you will see me do see it, say it all the time. Show a picture, give a visual for that. Okay, now my communication toolbox. It's a fun toolbox. We do a lot of things, from email, social media, the website, traditional media, the WCRC Fix It, chat, the phones, events, meetings, and obviously snail mail. For some people who want to call it mail, it's mail. Still it's mail, but it's snail mail because it takes it a little longer to get there, but we still do that for our constituents who want that kind of information too. Then they want a hard piece of paper. We will do that. Who is our audience? Well, externally, the traveling public is our audience, whether they're residents or visitors to Washtenaw County and local elected officials. Internally, it's our staff and board members. That's who we are trying to capture, depending on what we're trying to get the information out at the time. So our email, we do MailChimp, that is our marketing. That is how people sign up for our road advisories and weekly road work schedule, and all things that we communicate out. So you can see I kept 2022 there. So you can see how robust our program is now, because we're sending out road advisories. We're telling people where we are. We're big in orange. You can see how it's working out for us. And that lets you know the weekly road work schedule is, we send that out weekly. And 54% of our audience is opening our emails. That's a great thing, because the people want what the information that we're providing to them. Facebook, social media, we're on social media. Social media, some people have different things on social media, but social media is a free way to get our information out there. We don't have to pay for any sort of media. We utilize Facebook. Facebook has our most followers. We have, as of, that was October 1st. From October 1st of 2024 to October 1st of 2025, we had 10,700 followers. When we say reach, those are the people who are viewing our posts. That's how many views we had. So many eyes were on our post.
Tiffany,
Yes.
how many emails do we have? You talk about followers on Facebook, 10,007. How many emails?
How many emails have we sent out? Like,
how many people
are signed up?
send to?
We have more than 5,700.
I'm sorry?
We have more than 5,700
Thank you.
subscribers to our email.
Got it. Thank you. Just wondering what 54% of what?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Thank you.
So that's Facebook. I'll go back to Facebook. So you see how many followers we have on Facebook. We're fairly new to Instagram. Since I've been here, Instagram is big. I'm an Instagram girl. So Instagram is huge. So that's where we are. Instagram is more of a video place. And so again, I'm going to get more into the videos and think that's what I'm trying to get into, more of the videos showing things like that. So we're still infants in Instagram. So we're gonna work on Instagram. But we're working, it's happening. So the more robust we can be, the more we can get followers and things like that. Cause a lot of people are on Instagram.
Tiffany, on Instagram, that, if we have a post, typically we'll post the pictures on
Yes,
Instagram.
Right, we
correct?
just post pictures right now, but we're posting some videos, but not a lot. But Instagram is more video, they love the videos. And they love like the stories in the videos, so we're gonna do a little bit more of that.
But typically, if you're posting on Facebook, with
You-
a picture.
Right.
You'll also post.
We
on-
also we post the same things on Instagram and Facebook, but Instagram is more video centered. They like videos, that audience particularly. The audience of Instagram followers in general, they like videos, typically. Twitter or X Twitter, however you call it. We're not getting as many followers on Twitter. Twitter is dealing, or X is dealing with some people like not still staying with Twitter or X. So in 2004, I noticed that we had to pay for analytics. I wasn't paying for analytics. I can get analytics free on Facebook and Instagram and various other things. I wasn't going to pay for that. It's not necessary. And then now that I see that our audience is kind of like diminishing, I still post. We just don't, I don't follow the analytics to see where we are and what's going on, because I just feel it's not necessary to pay for that information, especially when our audience is kind of going down. So that's why I have not ventured into paying for it yet. But that,
Sorry,
go ahead,
Denise. Commissioner
go ahead.
How
McCollum?
much are they charging for the?
At last
information?
I checked, it was like $100 some. But I haven't checked recently, but when I checked a long time ago, which was in the beginning of the year, it was $100 some. I don't know if that has changed. I don't have an exact number, but it was over $100. So,
Commissioner Yamas, do you have a question?
Yeah, thank you. So I know that X or Twitter has fallen off because it's become so much, so political, right?
yes.
So I don't think it's I don't see many people, I don't go there like I do for Insta or Pinster or.
Yeah.
People are not posting recipes.
Right.
Or
No,
what
they're
to,
not.
or self-help or what to do. I mean,
Right.
That's,
Yep.
makes sense that we don't pay for X.
Right, I'm just not, right, well, there's a lot there. And then really honestly, aside from the political, when our audience is dying, then for me, it's about, at that point, it's about the number. And I'm like, okay, if our audience isn't there and they're really at Facebook, then I'll do what I have to do at Facebook. I gotta follow the audience, to be honest with you. So
Right.
that's my thoughts on that.
Okay.
Okay. YouTube, this is where we upload all of our videos, the board meeting minute, this working session will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. All of our virtual public meetings, anything that's virtual that we host is always uploaded on YouTube, our YouTube channel. So what I learned now with 2025 is that our subscribers have gone down, but our views are up. So so it's, YouTube is a funky little thing there, because we're not getting the subscribers. People aren't subscribing to say they want to subscribe, but when we post something, which will be usually sometimes in a link somewhere else, we'll get the views. So that's the difference. So to get the subscribers, I don't know that we have the content for subscribers. Subscribers are like those people who have those podcasts and those kind of things. We don't really have that. So that's where subscribers kind of would be. Like, you can subscribe, but we're just uploading the board meeting and things like that. You can find that on our website. So that's where that I think that's where that fall off is coming, because we don't have like something that's happening live at that point. We're just posting it just so we can put the video somewhere else, typically.
Commissioner Yamas?
No, I don't have a question. Thank you.
Tiffany?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Matt.
No, that's okay. A lot of these views, are they more related to the virtual public meetings for projects, or is it
Yes,
Okay.
the virtual
Thank you.
public meeting for projects are the number more viewed, more clicked on kind of thing. But we're also putting that in our email marketing. We'll put those when
Yep.
we're out. So there are links to those things. And there are also links on the website so people can say they want to click on something and that kind of thing. So videos are there as well. So that also is something, you know, where you're getting those new views too. So that's something as well. So our website. People are visiting our website. It's a huge tool to get our information out. As you can see, we have 234, more than 234,000 users. Page views, more than 1 million people are viewing our pages. So that's just people clicking around your pages, trying to find the information. That means they're looking and searching for the information. And it is our job as communicators to give them what they're looking for. So that's why you'll see what I'm doing with the website and later on in the presentation of what we've been doing in the background. But yes, so you can see what they're looking for. And you see the weekly work schedule is where they're going for it. They want to know what is going on weekly for and what work we're doing. That is key. That's why that is important to be as accurate as possible of what we're doing. That's why Dawn takes care of that. She's constantly saying, hey, are we doing this? Is this not happening? And that kind of thing. And just talking, it's a partnership with obviously engineering, operations, permits, because they're getting the information. Sometimes it comes in when it comes in, and we get that. But the more we're updated and the detour maps, and we now are putting on MDOT projects, but we put on there contact Brighton because we're not the contact. But people are looking for that information because they call us, and you'll see the difference now with the calls are different now than they were prior to, because I'm putting that information on our weekly roadwork schedule. We don't have as many calls as we used to. So if you have it on the website, and people are very self-sufficient, they'll go find it on your website. They can't find it, then they're calling you now. Where is this? What are you doing? I saw this happening. So that's why we're kind of like, okay, put it on the weekly roadwork schedule. Go ahead and put it on there because people want the information. Sometimes you have to listen to your audience to see what they want. So this has changed. The devices, last year, the devices it was the mobile device. Well, now it's the desktop. Listen, how people get your information is how they want to get your information on the website. Now everybody's on the desktop for the last year, from October 1 of 2024 to October 1 of 2025, 83% of people visited our website via the desktop.
Just for clarification, when I think desktop, PC.
PC,
personal
laptop,
computer,
like that kind of, right,
laptop,
exactly,
all
laptop,
that
right.
falls into that category.
So yes.
Yep.
So, and then the mobile is 15%, the tablet is 2%. So a little different. Our top cities. This was fun last year. So Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti, and Detroit. Those are our top cities. Last year we had Auckland in there. But now I've talked to our in Australia. So I talked to our website management organization, and they said we had a bot. So before I did this, I just want to give you a little backstory. So the bots are out there, you know, messing with a little bit of our data. And so it was Columbus. So an IP address from Columbus, Ohio had the most visits to our website, but we realized that's a bot. So we, you know, like I said, we're constantly in the background trying to make sure we're getting our information accurately and things of that nature. So that was something in the background that I found later, like as doing this presentation. So we're working on that. We're working on a lot of things in the background to try to make sure our website is up and running. Go ahead.
Commissioner McCollum?
Okay, what's a bot?
Somebody who's not
Right.
the bot, it would be not a real person, just an IP address, like not a real thing. And so they're just like touching into our website, like they're logging into our website for whatever reason, not just probably ours, all websites. It's not just ours personally, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying that happened.
Could be search engines.
Could be anything.
Wow.
So it's not a real person. So just so you know. Okay. And age. I wanted to put this up here to show you who our audience is. So looking at this, 55 to 64, 21% of that age group visited our website. But if you look at that big group there, 25 to 34 and 45 to 54, if you combine that and you think about that, that's a huge group looking for the information on our website. So that's 40% right there from 25 to 54. Those are big drivers and they want to know where are we? Where are we big? We're big and orange. Where are we going to be? Because they're probably either driving to school, work, taking their kids wherever they have to do, or whatever, the grandkids, whomever, they're going wherever they're going. So they want to know what's going on. So I look at that and that's like, okay, that's that group. Again, I translate that group in. A lot of those people are on social media. So again, the audience is typically the same. So traditional media, that's typically your newspaper, radio, TV news, any sort of publication that you can see for us. So usually they look for weather, project updates, road and non-millage, any type of story that we can provide them. So we were featured in 151 articles and or stories or video. I actually have something. So our project manager, Nico Robinson, made his TV debut on a rubberized asphalt at Ellsworth Road between Platte Road and Carpenter in Pittsfield Township. So we're going to take a listen at our story, and I'm going to give you a little bit.
Nearly 20,000 vehicles drive on Ellsworth Road every single day. Now the high volume road is part of a research project evaluating the performance of rubber asphalt made from scrap tires. A first for the Washtenaw County Road Commission.
It's been done around the state in several areas, but first time here.
Project manager Nico Robinson says this nearly 1 mile stretch of Ellsworth Road in Pittsfield Township is getting a unique makeover.
We're all very excited about this innovation.
This isn't your average asphalt.
We're paving 2 inches of asphalt using our rubberized asphalt mix.
That mix includes scrap tires, something the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, or EGLE, says can contaminate water and breed disease-carrying mosquitoes if not properly managed. This is what happens to those tires before any asphalt is poured and paved. A tire processor cuts them into tiny rubber granules, removing any metal.
And you get the rubber part. Then you have to grind that. So the rubber that we utilize is pretty much like a powder rubber.
Saf Mohammadi, one of several Michigan Technological University PhD students who made the 9-hour drive from Holland to oversee this week-long project. The Eagle-funded project is a partnership between Michigan Technological University and the Washtenaw County Road Commission.
We want to show the benefits in terms of performance and also environmental impact.
And university research shows the impact is significant. Though the Road Commission says rubber asphalt is slightly more expensive, it reduces rutting and cracks while extending a road's life and lowering noise levels.
To have cold temperature cracking resistance, we must make sure that in Michigan we have sufficient resilience against cold temperature cracking.
And it's not just Washtenaw. At the end of 2024, Eagle grants funded over 300 miles of rubber modified pavement in over 30 communities across Michigan.
We want to be as efficient as possible with the money that we're spending, and the longer that a road lasts, the better off we are.
So
Nearly 20,000.
So Nico did a wonderful job at telling our story. Like that is, you can't get a better story than that out of the whole, of what we're trying to do here at Washtenaw County Road Commission. So hats off to him. That was a great interview that he did. And also part of that is the story behind construction. The media wants another layer of a story, not just we're doing construction, they want something else. So that was a way to tell another story behind construction. So we try to find those. If I can find those, I'll do that, you know, and try to get the media out.
Forget your mic.
Sorry. Yeah, so I try to get those stories out, those kind of stories out, because the more we can get stories out about other things than just construction, the story behind construction, if we can get those out, that's great. That's great. That's another way for people to be like, okay, this is the rubber. Like it'll be like, this is the rubber that we're on, you know, that kind of thing. So it's kind of good. It's a good way to tell another part of the story of construction. WCRC Fix It. Okay, so this is the tool that WCRC has been using to you make road requests. So I call this, we do it, the communications team will do it if somebody calls us, but the public can do it. So I call them our second set of eyes. And, you know, people have really kind of, you know, like that because they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm in this too. Yes, you are. You are in this too. I want you to feel like, you know, you may know something or see something that we didn't see. Our, you know, foreman may go there and set it and just said, you know what? That wasn't there when I rode by there today, but now something is happening right now. So now you can see that our requests are in the 4,000s, our unpaved roads, 1,700. We acknowledge them and we close them. Now, every ticket can't be closed immediately because it may take another department, it may take some other things to get it closed, but the goal is to acknowledge someone, to let them know I see you, and then to try to close that within an appropriate amount of time. But some things are studies. Some things have to be studied. Some things are, some tickets are, take a little longer. So that's what that is.
Commissioner McCollum.
It seems like, I know the year isn't done, but it just seems like the average days to acknowledge have shortened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
We're trying to do that. That is a goal. Managing Director Mac McDonald goes in and says, hey, what's going on? Why we're not acknowledging these tickets, you know, that kind of thing. So everybody's on the same mission to acknowledge, to just say, hey, I see you. It's nice to get an email or some sort of correspondence to say, received. I saw, you know, I've read that. I understand you. Let me now dig into that. Give us 30 days. Tell people that you need some time to now investigate, and then now I will solve, whether it's no, like I said, you can say no, but at least I investigated and I told you I'm investigating. Don't just leave it out there.
Ma'am,
Oh, go ahead.
Commissioner Yamas.
I see that there was a trend on from day to close.
Mhm.
And that question wouldn't be for you, it would be for Matt. So why is it increased? You know, are things included that weren't before? I mean, that's a little different from getting back to somebody.
Yes, so one of the things that I have tried to work towards is our responsiveness. That's been a criticism over the years that I've
Decades.
been here. Yes. So responsiveness is number one. And it takes time to sort through a lot of requests, but the expectation is at least acknowledge in this platform, WCRC Fix It, within a day.
Yes.
So that's the goal, and we're doing really well. Average days to close, that could be, it ranges on a variety of topics. Some of the big ones are, could be for unpaved roads, dust control. We're not going to close, some will take the stance of, I'm not going to close that until we address that issue. Others say, I know it's on the list, so I'm going to go ahead and close it out. So we're trying to get aligned in that regard. Just different folks approach their work differently. Another popular one is dead or dying trees or tree trimming forestry requests. We get a lot of those.
Yes.
And how we manage that. Each individual foreman is empowered to manage their own workflow. There are expectations made, but ultimately how they manage their WCRC Fix It can vary. Another good example of, hey, I want speed humps in my neighborhood. Well, we can't close that out. That takes some time. That takes some time to essentially, we can acknowledge it right away. Hey, there's a process for that. We point them to the neighborhood traffic calming. We have to do counts. We have to do speed analysis, traffic volume. So a lot of the traffic and safety requests, whether it be for speed limits, passing zones, traffic signal, multi-way stop, those kind of things take longer periods of time to close out. So that could be
That's part of it.
impacting our numbers.
Yes.
You can slice and dice this data a lot of different ways, which is really nice. And so operationally, if it typically the average days of close is much faster.
Yes.
When it comes to engineering studies or engineering analysis, that those take longer. So what Tiffany is showing you is average days of close for everything.
Okay.
Right.
That makes
That's
sense.
every
That-
department.
Right.
And we could break that out if it makes sense. If it's more engineering versus operation, we can dive into those. But we do provide these reports on the monthly in the board packet, and then we also provide them to the county. And you can see, it's a very big spreadsheet, all the different requests. And in those requests, what is the average for addressing drainage? What is the average for forestry? What is the average for potholes? So each one, we can set different service level criteria as well. So as an organization, we can review that on the monthly, which is good. And as Tiffany points out, I will review it and go, hey, Adam, can you take a look at this one? It's not a good trend. I'm sure there's a reason why. Can you have a discussion with the district foreman? Those are the kind of conversations that we use. This is a great tool. Not only do we get that second set of eyes, but we also provide feedback. That's that thing that was missing years ago when
Yes.
we were just writing it down. We weren't getting that feedback. And this system is automatic. As you can see, it's on the phone, it's on our computers, and we can respond almost immediately just by looking at it, and can also sometimes respond quickly. Hey, I'm only a couple blocks away. I'm going to go check that out. So it's web-based, which is outstanding. It's been a great tool for us over the last few years. I don't know how many years we've been doing it, maybe 10 now.
I think so. I wasn't here.
Yeah.
I'm not
So
sure.
it's been a while. Yeah.
I think so. This tool was the tool for the Maple Foster Bridge. This was the second set of eyes. So that's why I say it's the second set of eyes that you are. We just had that bridge inspected in May, and that boater was riding underneath the bridge and
Saw the
saw it
cables.
and put in the fix-it ticket for it. So that's, when I say a second set of eyes, we just were there. We just did it. That doesn't mean that we can see everything at all times. So that's why this is great. These are the tools in the toolbox to help us be a better organization for Washtenaw County residents.
I want to compliment Tiffany. You introduced the concept, as far as I know, a second set of eyes.
Yes.
I found that to be a great phrase to use when someone comes and they're a little hot under the collar. I start with, thank you for being our second set of eyes. We so appreciate your help.
It
Temperature
tempers it
comes
down.
right down.
Oh, yes.
Right down. So
Right.
thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And so with that, with all the tools in the toolbox, phones and lobby is one thing. So if you see this, since January, we've had more than 26,000 phone calls since January. That was higher back last year, but I believe that's because of all of our tools working, our weekly work schedule, putting the information out, that kind of thing. People don't have to call. Like when I first started here, I would get phone calls all the time. And I'm like, wait, people are looking for this information. Let's put it on the weekly. Let's give it out there. Let's put it out there and let them digest the information. And now we can say, okay, this is where we are. So that part. And then in the lobby since January, we've had 250 plus visitors. So that's also there, but that doesn't include, i.e. the people coming into the wrong building, because usually they want to go next door. So that doesn't include them because they don't sign in. So we have a whole thing about signing in and just making sure that if you're coming here to visit someone, you have an appointment, Dawn, or I, or Shelby, or even Aaron over in permits, we all meet the person in front, give them a smiling face. When people are greeted with a smiling face and when they are greeted with a calm personality, I think they walk away from the organization like, oh, they were nice. They were okay. Like that wasn't a bad experience I had with the Washtenaw County Road Commission. It's a part of it too.
That number does not include our permits
No.
area.
Yes, that does not include our permits here because the people aren't signing in, so over there as
Understood.
well. So we would probably have more than that if I did a clicker.
But even in that regard, a lot of it has moved to online permitting. So our visits for permitting have dropped even.
Yes,
So
yes. Public meetings. So we've been doing a lot of these, whether in person or anything like that nature. So our virtual public meetings, we're at 11 this year. You can see there's a climb. That's attributed to our projects and things that are happening and what's going on. And when Director Washtenaw says he wants a public meeting, then we're having a public meeting for that particular thing. But it's not just that. We have obviously a policy for it. I'm just teasing Matt, but but when, you know, we have a policy for it and what dictates a public meeting, and projects that are over a certain amount, over 500,000, going to change the road. Typically, those are roundabouts and things like that, a hill cut, things of that nature. Those are things that get a public meeting. I've actually condensed our public meeting when, like, we do paving. I've made that one public meeting because we're talking about paving. No need to have a paving meeting for this project, a paving meeting for that project. Just have one meeting about paving, and then that's on the website. You'll see that here in a second. So I've done that because the story is better. You know, we're spending this amount of money to pave these amount of lane miles of roads and that kind of thing. And so then we go through the list. You'll see it on the website. Public hearings, we haven't had any public hearings in 2025. In-person presentations, that's including why they're so high and why it's a little low now. That's including when we speak at colleges or anything like that. Any presentation you do, typically that goes there. So anytime somebody makes a presentation, then that is what that would be.
Also, this is all under the umbrella of our public engagement policy.
Yes.
So that's where it's not Matt wanting a meeting. It's our
I
policy
know,
as the
I know.
organization. But
No,
sometimes I do say we need to have a meeting.
yeah, he does. He'll say, I think this is a meeting. This is
Yes.
worthy of
A
a
good
meeting.
example
So-
was oftentimes we'll go above and beyond
Yeah.
the public engagement policy.
Yes.
For example, the Dexter area project for Island Lake and Main Street, we had a virtual public meeting, but
And he said he wanted
we
in-
also had a in-person meeting at the library. Both were very well attended.
Yes.
So it's just knowing the projects and how impactful they can be. If it's above the norm, then typically we'll go the extra mile with our public engagement.
Same
Yes.
thing with.
We
the
know
Maple
that
Foster.
that will pay dividends in the long
Not
run.
Maple Foster. No, the Tuttle Hill project.
Yeah,
We went
Tuttle
in
Hill and
person.
Barrett. Yep.
Tuttle Hill and Merritt, we went in person because we heard from, again, that's chat. So people were attending chat, and we'll go through that, but people were attending our tools. So we're like, you know what, we're hearing from you, we see you on social media, we're getting the emails, we hear you, so we're gonna come and tell you what's happening for that, what the plan is for that particular project.
And most importantly, tell them the whys.
Yes,
That was a big part of that meeting.
yes, okay. So mail, some people call it snail mail, but with your mailing, we send out a lot of mail, more than 1,000 addressees. Those are project information, meeting invites, letters, the annual report. And a lot of things I've been utilizing QR codes. So you'll see those. Commissioner Fuller, she laughs at me about my QR codes, but our QR codes are a good way because many people have the cell phone. And
Many
so,
do not.
and many do not, you're correct.
Way.
And that's why we do both. But the QR code, when we're just out and about and you don't have a laptop and you don't have it or anything of that nature, I can show you on my phone instead of I can just point and shoot. Okay, point and scan. I don't want to say it like that, but point and scan, and I can take you directly to whichever website that is going to lead you to. Though that's a good way. We do that with our surveys. We do a lot of surveys and things of that nature, and that's a great way for me to get you to just answer the survey quickly instead of just telling you, okay, type this in. I don't have to tell you that. You can just point and scan, which is a great tool for us. So we do it for we're hiring. When I'm at the Toucher Trucks, and I'm like, hey, scan this, and you can go right and fill out the application instead of now you gotta tell you all of this. So that's another tool in the toolbox. Not one is better than the other. It's just being able to get to all audiences at the time, meet them where they are and what they need. That's what that is.
And we even do that internally.
Yeah.
A good example, like spring training, we look for feedback, and some of our drivers aren't as tech savvy as some. So, but it's a very easy way to scan that QR code, and it takes you directly to the survey, and you can get information quickly without a whole lot of effort. But yeah, and I think we've even seen this in a lot of everyday life, restaurants, as much as I don't
Yes.
like it. Our menus, scan this, get your cell phone out and you have to scan it. They're kind of going back to paper menus, but some are having
Doing
both as
yeah.
options.
They're having
Yeah.
both because some people just don't want to. So
Yep.
I say we do both.
Right.
We have the QR code and we can send you a letter, either or. That's how I'm trying to meet all, like we saw the audience who's looking for us on our website. So we have all ages and all, technical abilities.
Commissioner McCollum.
The annual report that's being sent, how do you determine who that gets sent to?
That's all of our township officials.
Oh, okay.
They get that.
Okay.
That's always been to my understanding, and I'm prepared to just do that. And then County Parks gets theirs, and so they get the millage report, and so they send to who, I don't know who they send to, but we send to the township officials.
Yeah,
And
elected officials.
elected officials.
So we have an elected officials list, and then we also have it on our website.
Okay.
So electronically.
Okay.
And they
The
can
hard
request it.
copies have been historically mailed after the first of the year to our elected officials.
Okay.
With a
Thank you.
letter from
Yes.
Thank
the
you.
director.
Mhm.
I'll be working on that after this is done. That's another project. So, okay, so in the board meetings, in-person and virtual participants have been 73. But that doesn't count the views. People come back and view our videos. So just so you know, just because they're not here doesn't mean they don't come back and view the meeting. The chat, this has been 20 attendees for chat. This has been, since we've had a couple of different projects that have come up, I find that more people are utilizing this now. I hear that Matt and you all are on these, and it'll be several people on them, but sometimes you don't have anyone, but sometimes it's been busy. I know I've been on one when Shelby was gone, and it was like 4 or 5 people in there. I was like, oh, this is busy. So, I think this is a great tool. We utilize this in communications because they'll say, can I speak to the managing director? I said, oh, you can talk to him in person if you want. You can talk to him over chat if you want. You can also email him, but this is an avenue to hear it right from him. If you want to talk to him with a commissioner, if you want to get your voice, tell what you want to say, if that's the case. Or you can also come and visit us at the board meeting. We tell them the whole thing we're open and transparent, telling you where you can get to Managing Director Washtenaw or you, the commissioners. So this is a great tool for that. For your requests, this is a very important tool. We are responsible for this when people want the information that we house in our whether it be our books or, the basement or wherever we have information that they want to get. That's their information because it is public information. We are a public entity. We are responsible for handing over this information. So we try to limit the 10-day extension. We want to close them out and not have a 10-day extension if we can do that. Sometimes information is a little bit more, it takes us longer to gather the information, nothing wrong with that. We let you know, but we don't go over the 10 days. So, and then the payment, we try not to charge anybody, but if you're going to, if it's a lot of information that takes Shelby away from her job, and then that's where the payment comes in.
So question, this is all hard copy responses,
These are email responses.
email responses?
Email responses, yes, email
So
responses.
most of our information we have digitally. If we have to get into copies, that's where maybe payments are required, or where we have to go to the vault and get up hard copy documents, then sometimes that will involve more time and payment. But typically, a lot of our information, the more current, if it's not historical, if it's current, then it's digital and it's easy to just respond and here's your here's a PDF of the document you were looking for.
Or a OneDrive digital file if they're too big.
Yeah, we can share, if it's too much to share via individual email, we can send them a link and they can download.
All the documents.
Yeah, it works out pretty well.
Yes. And our events, you've come to all of our events. Here's the fun things. You've come to all of our events. So we do internal events where we take care, where that's the spring training, where all of our employees get together. Director McDonald and all the directors get together and do the state of the agency there, letting the organization know where we've been, where we're going, what's going on. As far as that part's concerned, the WCRC tailgate, we've had our second one. We planned that. That was wonderful. That was wonderfully attended. That's getting a lot of positive energy. And then we're working on our employee breakfast, the pancake breakfast that you go to. We're planning that, getting that all together. That will be in November. So we try to do a lot of things to get us all, you know, the organization kind of feeling warm and fuzzy. Those are those warm and fuzzy events, if you will. And then the external events, the Touch a Truck events, we've been doing a lot of those. They have worked very well. We've been able to get a lot of our information out. I see the commissioners, you all have come to those. They're fun. And you've been able to reach the public. We used those last year to reach the public for the road millage to get our information out. We put a map out so that people can see that. We also do where we're hiring, give out duckies. We try to do some really fun things with that. A warm face. That is, I call the Touch a Trucks a way to say, you're the human behind the big orange truck. Who's behind that big orange truck? He has a family. He or she has a family. They have someone they want to go home to. So can you move over and slow down so that they can do their important work? That's some of that information that we want to share there. Also parades. We're getting in parade season. We're coming up, so we'll be having that in December. You'll see that coming in as well. And whenever the colleges ask us to speak, I know Brent and Adam spoke at Ypsilanti over in Eastern Michigan, spoke in Ypsilanti in Eastern Michigan there. So when we get those, I like those because that's another way for us to tell our story and just, you never know who will come over here and start working for us or anything of that nature. So I don't shy away from those at all. We're getting a lot of requests, just so you know, now that we have the big orange tent, they see us again, see it, say it. So you can see our events. We're 12 Touch a Trucks. I had to deny one because a person asked us to come on Halloween night. I don't think I could get somebody to work on Halloween night. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I won't go be able to make that because Halloween night is going to get, I mean, I have kids. They have kids. People want to trick or treat. It's on a Friday. I mean, let's just be honest. So that just wasn't going to work for our organization that day. And I'm okay with that. Parades, 7. We did 7 parades and paint a plow. Dawn is working on that. We should be picking up our paint a plows. And so here is a little snapshot. I want to show you of what we've been doing. You might see your face in there, commissioners.
That's a good picture.
So that just kind of gives you an idea. It's a quick couple pictures that we have, and I want to show you, like, we've had some good times this past year as far as our Touch a Trucks and parades and various things that we've had when we put the tent up. Reports. So again, like I said, once I'm done this, we'll be working on the budget with Dan. I'll be working on that with him. And our new addition, Connie, hi. We'll be working on that. You know, you have staff reports that I also do, the local road packet, We'll see how that works out this year, but those are things that we work with the township packets, the annual report and millage report. So those things I'll be working on here and coming up. And I have some other things in design that I'm working on, but I won't share that this year. I'll share that next year of how my new projects I'm working on as far as that part concerned. But the one thing I want to show you is the website. I'm going to come out of the presentation and I want to show you the website and how we've been working on things as far as making it ADA compliant. So when you go to the website, we're going to go to the home screen. So you may notice with our home screen is that there used to be a sign here that was kind of like see-through. That wasn't good for someone who might have disabilities, who might not be able to see. So we made this blue line very bold, working with our website provider. And so they advised to make that very bold, and so to let someone see, and so making our pictures bold. There's a couple other things here. Our search bar here is cleaned up here. So if somebody needs to search something, you can search anything you want, like road advisories or anything like that. You can search that. We clean that up. And if you come down to the bottom here, all of our like little key bars here, they're very bold now. You want to make sure that people can see that if they have that disability. Also, orange, if we're going to have a background that's orange, then the writing needs to be blue. So you'll see that here, like all of our social media graphics. If you're going to have a light kind of background like that, then it needs to be dark so that people can see. So that's one thing we also did. Also, Commissioner Fuller, you wanted a township button. You wanted for our folks to be able to go to the township page and see the township pages that we have created. We did that last year. And so now there's a button right there for people to go to. So when you're out and about and you're talking to the townships, now you don't have to say, go here, go here, go there. The button is right there on the home screen. They can go right to their township and then scroll down and click on the township where they live or where their interests lie. And for those who don't know, you can click on your township. I'll go with Scioto Township because we're in Scioto Township. And so these pages are constantly updated, giving all the information with pictures. Sorry about that. With pictures and things we're doing within that township. You have your booklets, your agreements. You can actually go and sign up for, sorry, I'm going fast. Subscribe to our project updates. You can see when we close a road, reopen a road. All of the things are there for you to find. Okay, I'm gonna go back. Also on the home bar, you know, if you notice a while ago, the home bar, the drop downs would go all the way down your screen. Well, now we've decided to make them side by side so you can see everything that is there, because sometimes you get a drop down, you may not be able to see it. So now it goes side by side. So now you can see all of the drop downs there. So in current projects, we're working on something now where this is the current project. So we're in 2025. And so I'm working on putting all of our projects list out now. So for me, what I also learned doing transportation is that everybody doesn't understand how far out we work, right? And that's a part of the narrative and telling our story. So this is a part of telling our story by putting the projects, we have this stuff planned all the way out. So this is how Alan and I are working together. He's already uploaded the maps for these projects. So we're already working to 2027. So he's already working and we're working ahead. So I'm going to start doing 28 until then. So when I work with engineering and operations, what are your plans? I know they don't have it etched in stone, but if they do know the projects that they are planning for then, I can upload those projects and put them on that particular page. And so that is how that's working. That is something new we're doing. And then you scroll down and you'll see the projects that are happening in that year. So people can click on that button and see that. That is something big we wanted to make sure we're doing so that you can kind of see how we're planning out and what we are doing. Not just the millage page, but you'll see the millage page is planned out that far. Now the projects page will be planned out that far.
This is really helpful. when I'm speaking with people. So is it this year or is it next year? It's like, okay, let's go take a look and see what year it's projected to
Exactly.
occur in. And it also unifies what we're saying when we respond to questions.
Exactly.
This is very helpful.
Yes, so that is something we're working on in the background for the website, just so you know, so you're, so when you, like you said, when you're out, you are also, like you say, you speak for us as well, so, now you can do this on your phone and look at it and say, hey, well, what are you doing in 27, or what are you doing in 28? So this is something we're also working
And
on.
it's still a work in progress.
Yes.
Ultimately, we'll be able to get the millage projects on these
Yes.
various years. Because we
Yes.
have a plan for 26, 27, along with our federal aid
Yeah.
and state aid. Those are programmed out all the way to 28. So, but it is a work in progress.
It just started.
It previously, it was just the current year's projects. Now we're going a bit further, which I think
It's
is very
amazing.
helpful.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to go a little further. I said, because we're constantly getting questions of, what are you doing? When are you doing this?
Ben,
When are you doing this, right? And I go take them to the millage page, which is fine. But also, if we can do this, then it's great too.
well, you don't have to remember, I don't have to remember over 300 projects
Right.
underway in a given year.
Right, right. So this is another way, but only way you get a project page, again, you have to meet the, everybody, all the projects don't get a project page per se.
But you can go to the township
Right.
of interest and
You
see.
can,
what's-
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
And the profile of the townships on every township page. You've done a beautiful job in terms of providing information and
Yes.
the annual agreements. Backtracking, what are those and what did my supervisor said and my board did. Go in and take a look.
Okay, well, that concludes mine. I have any questions? This is the Q&A portion.
Good job. That
Thank
seems
you.
really
We
nice.
covered it all.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I try. Think about what you want to know.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Sheldon.
Very good.
Very nice. All right, we are scheduled to take a break. We will break until, say, 10:15 and then come back and continue with the agenda. All right, welcome back, everybody. We are ready to commence with our agenda. After our break, I will turn it back over to our managing director, moving into the IT report. Matt?
All right, I will quickly turn it over to Chris and Josh for a presentation on our IT report.
We
Hello.
need a Kleenex box?
Good morning.
Wait.
Yeah, breathe it up
Mike.
a little bit. IT manager, Chris Quinter. Thanks for having me again this year. It's exciting to share all of our progress throughout the year. So let's dive into it. So the format last year seemed to work pretty well. So it's going to be kind of the same. So I'll go over some budgeting numbers for this year and then projections for next year. Some help desk statistics and trends. And then the bulk of the presentation will be on our 2025 projects and accomplishments, and then any upcoming projects and some things that are on the horizon for next year. So to get started, this year's budget, we tend to hover right around the 700,000 each year. This one's a little bit lower. The computers was a little bit higher this year as expected. We try to keep those about even every year. We've had some grants in the past that have kind of thrown off that refresh cycle. So about every 3 years, we have 1 year that's a bulk of our laptops. So this year there were about 37 that needed replaced. So that was a bulk of the extra stuff. Software continues to be the number one as far as the highest thing in our budget. So that's going to be software licensing for staff computers, any subscriptions that we have for backup support from vendors, things like that, or any ongoing subscriptions like our Office 365. So that's going to be our biggest one each year, around $65,000.
Questions on the budget? Commissioner McCollum?
What does MSP stand for again?
So good question. MSP is our managed service provider. They're the third-party contractor that we use for after-hours support, after-hours notifying for my team, and any things that we need extra eyes on. Kind of our third level of support.
Okay, so it's not the Michigan State Police.
It's not the Michigan State Police. So if you look at that number, so essentially we're paying for a team of network engineers. So whereas we could employ a network engineer, for a much higher yearly salary than that. For this cost, we're getting about a team of 5 network engineers. And they're monitoring 24/7. They have their own security team that they contract as well. So we'll get after hours alerts that we need to respond to, or on the weekends or holidays.
Commissioner Yamas.
The projects, those are like what we've done in the conference rooms?
Correct.
That's what those things are?
Yep, yep, and that was what I was saying with the table of contents there, so we'll get into what each of those are and how those contribute to that number.
Okay. Thank you.
And miscellaneous at the bottom there, is just kind of any break fix type of thing that we didn't account for or didn't plan for, so if one of the monitors in here were to break, it would go to that charge sheet. Looking ahead, so next year is going to be a little bit higher. Again, software is going to be that number one every year. But one thing that we haven't done in the last few years is printers. So next year we plan to replace all of our printers. So those typically are around 5 to 7 years. We're going to be pushing 7 years on these. Our contract with the vendor was for 5, so we've just been paying as we go at this point. But it keeps with our proactive approach. We want to try to replace those before we start to see real issues with them. At the same time, we want to look into replacing our vendor too. We've had some issues with the vendor. So we're going to toy with that idea, whether we want to stay with them or if we want to move to someone else or go to bid on it, or how we want to approach that.
Commissioner Yamas, do you have a question?
I do, thank you. So printers, I know there's always the thing about buy them or rent them, and
Correct.
we rent them, right?
I typically defer that to the finance team. In the past, we've purchased them.
Okay.
There seems to be a little bit more of an advantage there.
Yeah.
In the past, I've only been present for one printer refresh in my almost 8 years here. So with the last one that we did, we were able to sell the fleet on Gov Deals. I think we only sold it for a couple $1,000. And Matt and I talked about it the other day. I forget what that exact number was, but I think it was less than $5,000 we were able to sell them all for. But
Okay.
in the past, finance has requested that
Made
we
that.
purchase them.
Oh, yeah, well,
Yeah, it's certainly something we'll look at, from a fiscal standpoint, whether you, win or lose, you're trying to minimize expenses, right? And also get a good product that's gonna be serviced. Chris and Josh do a great job of evaluating those kind of options and presenting them. So that's something that, I'm assuming with that printer project we'll be investigating. Much like our fleet or our road network, IT has a bunch of assets that they have to manage. And so Chris does a great job of being proactive. Years ago, we got into a bit of trouble by being more reactive and not investing into the IT network. And without it, we can't do the work that needs to get done. And a lot of the tools that Tiffany presented on, those are all IT driven, right? So this is a very important part of our organization. And so making sure we're consistently investing into printers, like you said, are 7 years old. We've introduced some interesting protocols along the way. We now have a print hold, which has cut down the volume we print, which is amazing.
Yeah,
Also, I think over the last few years with us moving into the digital formatting of all documents, there's a lot less printing. We still print quite a bit, but as compared to 10 years ago, it's way down. So then we'll be also looking at, do we need the same number of printers? Does that make sense? So there'll be a lot of evaluation that goes along in that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. It'll be a full evaluation as to, is each printer in each area fitting the needs? Is it overkill? Is it too little? A lot of talking with staff to make sure that it's sufficient for what they need it for.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yeah, so the printer, is that printers and copiers, or is it the same?
Yeah, they're one and the same.
Same.
I guess the proper term is multifunction device.
Multifunction,
So yeah, there'll be a scanner, copier,
Fax.
duplex,
Fax, yeah.
fax. Yeah, fax will be another thing. Do we still need it? Do we not? So yeah, there's a lot of that. They're all in one machine.
So is that like for here in the mailroom and the yards and everything?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
So we have 3 in this building. There's the one in the mailroom. There's one over here in permits. There's one upstairs. There's also a wide format printer upstairs that printed these pictures in this room. That also prints a lot of our maps for our engineers, plans. And then all the yards have smaller black and white machines that they're able to use and copy from.
Okay.
Commissioner Yamas.
So, and that makes sense that Dan had some, because I've done analysis before and it's generally a lot less expensive to just buy and resell.
Yeah, and that was the case, 7 years ago. So we'll
Yes,
definitely
right, yeah.
reassess and see where we want to go with that. And if it's the same vendor, what vendor does things differently? Because the other benefit to it too, by purchasing them, is it allows us to stretch that life a little bit.
Yeah.
So budget will be slightly higher next year. Computers will come down a little bit, but it's still going to be a higher next year. And then I don't have a projection slide for 2027, but the computers will be very small for that year. That kind of is that offset of the big year this year. And then in 2 years, there's a very small number of people that have a computer refresh.
So I have one more question.
Commissioner Yamas.
So the computers, do you do them like off year or you don't replace them all at once? Have we been doing them? all at
We
once?
don't do them all at once, just to stagger the workload on my team.
Okay.
And then the life cycle is about 3.5 to 4 years. We're kind of pushing it a little bit this year, and I'll get into that a little bit more in the projects, but we're pushing more toward that 4-year mark this year. But typically we want to aim for about 3.5.
Okay.
That's when we start to see the batteries go bad, the hard drives go bad. And again, we want to try to be proactive.
Thank you.
Any other questions on budget? Getting into help desk next.
Okay.
Okay. Help desk numbers. So for 2025, obviously this is only up until the end of September, but numbers are trending very similar as they have in the past. 2023 was high. We had some issues with the software update on our financial system. So that's a little skewed as far as our total numbers, but it's good to see our days to resolve is very low at just over 2 days. And Josh, Summerhill, our systems analyst, does a great job of managing that and keeping those numbers low and responding to our staff in a timely manner. No one has to sit on a ticket for a week at a time if someone's not working. And most of the days he's on that within hours. So most of the time that 2 days to resolve is because we're pending either a outside vendor to fix it or some kind of support from a third party.
Yeah, and I think telling the story of 23 is important because we may have a banner year in 26. If we push out a new financial software, there's going to be a lot of IT requests. Hey, I don't know how to do this, or I'm having issues. There's going to be it's important to tell that story because there may be peaks and flows, or if we get a Microsoft update that doesn't go well or ends up having to resolve issues with our software that may be a little dated. So
yeah, and that's a good point. A lot of these numbers when you see the higher numbers, are a result of either an update or something new. So training is a big part of that when we roll out some new application, especially with the new financial software we're looking at. I'm sure we will see a spike in tickets there. And as far as 2025 goes, at this point in the year, we are a little higher than usual. And that's largely in part of a Windows update recently. We had a lot of tickets for a Windows update that did not go well, which was not a fault of ours. It was a fault of the way that Microsoft rolled it out and kind of worked that update that didn't quite work well with our environment. So thankfully we're past that at this point. So hopefully the numbers for 2025 should kind of even out here as we get towards the end of the year and wrap up some projects. And typically we have kind of a quiet end of the year. Hopefully, yeah. And Josh is sitting over there. He knows I just jinxed us.
I was just going to say that's typically intentional because
It
as
is.
Chris has educated me, him and Josh don't plan for a lot of updates or things that we know may cause concerns. Like there's a quiet period, right? Intentionally. So that because there's a lot of vacations and you don't want to push software updates or updates out in general when people aren't there. Maybe they're not logging in, maybe they're not connected to the network. So it's very intentional.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of twofold. One is a lot of staff are on vacation for the holidays. A lot of our support staff are on vacation for the holidays. And then also we're at the end of our fiscal year, so we're out of money.
Right.
So and then just a breakdown here. So this just kind of shows really the work that Josh does. So again, he does a fantastic job of being that first line of defense for us. And I kind of take the easy ones just to make sure that I get my numbers up here on the screen. Josh Josh does an excellent job.
To bring Josh up so the.
He'll
world
get
can
his
see
time
who
in a
Josh
minute. He'll be up here in a few.
All right. Yeah, I just want to kudos on the tech support. I mean, you talk about within days or hours. I hear from typically Josh or you within minutes.
Right.
When I'm
Yeah.
stuck. When I tried to do the cybersecurity trainings, there was a wrinkle and Josh logged in, took over, fixed it, and I was on my way again. So
Yes. Yep.
kudos to both of you. You do a
Thank you.
great job.
Really do.
All right, I'm gonna move into projects. Any questions on help desk any further?
Okay.
All right, our first project for this year was our cell phones. So cell phones are on a 2-year cycle. We have about 72 that we replaced this year. And we typically try to go with the latest model. Most of the time that is a promotional deal from Verizon. So we went with the Galaxy S25 and S25 Plus. This was the first year that we gave staff an option as to which one they'd like. So the 25 Plus added, I think, maybe a quarter or half of an inch to the screen, which sounds pretty small, but it does make a large difference,
Yeah.
especially if you're hard of sight or if you've got big fingers, that little extra real estate on the screen makes a big difference, but also some people don't like the bigger phone in their pocket. So we gave the option between the two. These phones, full retail are around $850 to $950. We were able to get them Verizon promotion for $50 or $150. So that made a big difference in our total budget or our total cost of the project. And then additionally, with the old phones, we were able to resell several of those to staff. I believe we sold them for $100 or so. So we made about $2,100 in the resale to staff, and then the remaining were traded back into Verizon for initial just over $8,000. So our total resale value at $10,193. That's a recuperation of about 77% of the total project. So that was big. That was a big win for us on that.
I think Verizon wisely gives promotional so that you stay with them, right? So that's the key is we're continuing to pay the monthly fee under gov deals. It's a great deal for government entities. We're always evaluating ways that we can be cost effective, and this has been a very good partnership over the years.
Yeah, exactly. We recently received a new rep with Verizon who's helping us kind of help those savings as well. So we had 5 different accounts that were charged to each department. We are in the process of moving those onto one MyDeal account, which is going to save us roughly $1,200 a month on those subscriptions. So it's cell phones, and then it's also the SIM cards out of the intersections too. So our staff can monitor the traffic lights from their desk instead of needing to go out to the intersection every time.
Yeah, and it's
There's a little bit. There's a
reliability
lot to
is
the Verizon
high
account.
too.
What's that?
With the Verizon network, the reliability is. really
Yeah,
good.
exactly. Verizon is
They
the
do,
most
they do a good
reliable
job,
in the
but the
area.
reliability is one of the key components.
Commissioner McCollum, did you have a
Yes,
question?
yeah, I did. So when you resell the phones, my understanding is everything, you can't completely clear everything off. Is that something I just heard or?
That is accurate. And so as good as this slide looks, we won't be doing it again, for that reason,
Won't be doing what?
of reselling the phones. So to Commissioner McCollum's point, and laptops are very similar, you can do a factory reset, but if you have the correct forensic tools, you can still recover that data. So from a data security perspective, we don't want to resell in the future. So we'll look at some other alternatives maybe to see if we can get any of the money returned, but we'll yet to be determined on that. That's a good question.
Commissioner Yamas, did you have a question?
I guess that kind of answered it.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah,
Cool.
so I,
2 for 1.
yeah.
Okay. Next, and Commissioner Yamas, this kind of gets into your question earlier with the computer refresh. So like I said earlier, 3 to 3.5 years is what we try to target. This year we made a change in our vendor and our models that we use. So we were an HP shop for a while. We have switched to Dell this year. Couple reasons for that. The support from HP was really lacking. When we would send computers in for repair, we were looking at 5 to 6 months for a return on that device,
Wow.
which is not acceptable. The response from some of the technicians were few and far between. That essentially we kind of prepared ourselves for, we may never see that laptop again. And in cases that was accurate, they would send a whole new unit instead of repairing the one that we had and had a history on. So And the problem with that then is when they send that new model, that's exactly what it is. It's not a one-to-one replacement. It's now a new model. So we may send a 2023 laptop in, and then they're going to send us back a 2024 or 2025. And then based on who the user is, that's going to throw off their refresh cycle. So that really throws a wrench into it. And then if we didn't purchase that model that year, now we have a weird one-off model that's in stock that we can't deploy because we don't have a backup for it. So a lot of issues with HP support. And then additionally, we noticed last year, so if you recall my PowerPoint from last year, we are affiliated with what's referred to as the MyGMIS group. So that's the Michigan chapter of the Government Management Information Sciences. It's a very wordy way to say IT government group. So it's a global organization, and we belong to the Michigan chapter of that. So every year there's a conference up at Boyne Mountain. Josh Summerhill went this year. I went last year, but what I found last year is that Dell is actually affiliated with that group. So not only do we get the MyDeal pricing, but then we also get a discount for being a part of the MyGMIS group. And we also have a direct representative now, and we haven't had to use their support yet, thankfully. We're just now rolling them out for the first time. So we'll see how that goes here probably next year or so when we have to utilize that. But for now, we're very happy with it. I kind of have a picture there of the new Dells. I'm using one of the new Dells. So if you'd like to see it after the presentation, I'm certainly happy to show it to you. It does start to include some of the AI tools or Teams buttons. So on the trackpad, it's really cool when you're on a Teams call, there are extra buttons that light up to do your microphone or camera or things like that.
So when are these computers going to be?
I believe you all are next year. I'll have to check for sure, but I believe you all are.
Fair warning.
Yeah, fair warning. Prepare now.
Okay.
It should be, again, Josh does a great job with these. So this has really been his project this year. So again, 37 computers is a lot.
Plus cell phones, right?
Plus cell phones, yep. So cell phones, thankfully, were finished with the Dell computer replacement. And the reason we're kind of pushing 4 years this year is we wanted to wait until April when these specific models came out. So with the new kind of AI chips or the new processors in these, this laptop, not connected to any monitors. If it's just, imagine yourself just sitting in a coffee shop with just the laptop, this battery will last a day or a day and a half.
Wow.
And I have seen that from mine, and it's very impressive. So we wanted to wait for the new models to come out in April. Typically, we're buying laptops in January to get the refresh started, just because it does take so long. But this year, we really wanted to wait for these new models to come out. And some of the more enhanced ones for our engineering team that use AutoCAD, or our communications manager, Tiffany Oliphant, that uses some of the graphic design stuff, that model didn't release until July. So we were patient this year. We kind of stretched the refresh. And that's why maybe we're a little behind on it this year and pushing that 4-year mark. But with this, I want to bring up Josh Summerhill at this point. So he's done an excellent job of streamlining this process, and he has identified some ways that can be improved from the behind the scenes perspective and how he gets these ready for staff. So Josh, if you want to come up and kind of explain the project that or the product you found, the project you did.
You have a question before Josh?
Oh, just real quick, are we gonna be, the workbooks, you're using the workbooks too for foreman outside?
Yeah, sorry. So the other picture there is the Dell Rugged. So it's the same screen size, but the full chassis of the
Yeah,
laptop is smaller.
I've worked with one of those.
They've
They're
been great so far. So Ken Harris, our superintendent, was our test dummy, if you will, for that. He demoed it for almost a month, I think, and gave great things to say about it. So we move forward. Josh, you want to take over the next 2 years?
Yes. Good morning, Joshua Summerhill, Systems Analyst.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me. So, here we are. So, to help the deployment process for the PCs from a behind the scenes perspective, a lot of people don't know what actually goes into getting a brand new PC, taking it out of the box, getting the initial setup with the Microsoft. They have you set up an account. Short and sweet, short and maybe not so sweet. It then runs through updates for anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour or so. And then you're able to log in and start the WCRC imaging process. That's where we found Case. Case System Deployment Appliance is a it's a centralized tool for large scale systems and software deployment. So what that does for us, it allows us to do scripted installations where it pulls the latest version of Windows directly from Microsoft, and we're able to deploy it also with a list of software, normal streamlined software such as Outlook, things like RoadSoft, Google Earth Pro, things of that nature that we normally use. We're able to set that up and line it up and say, hey, set the device up, deploy it. This is what we want it to run. This is what it'll install. We also have the option of capturing a custom deployable image. So for some users, well, in general, I'll say we have a default build that we use for all computers. It includes things such as Microsoft, currently Precision, BroadSoft, time card kiosk, things of that nature. So we're able to set that up, capture an image of it with the latest Windows version. And with that, we're able to say, this will be our base golden image, and we can deploy that directly. So in theory, that takes out a lot of the initial steps for the out of the box process. Case does have additional features which we have not dove into just yet. This is actually our first year. We demoed it. We liked it. We liked the functionality, and it's coming in at about $2,000 annually. But it does also have additional features that we're going to get into.
2,000 per computer or
No,
2,000?
2,000 overall for all 150 or so device licenses we have. So what does this mean for WCRC? We now have or WCRC IT, we now have a out-of-the-box imaging solution. With this, we're able to take the device directly out of the box. We already have something such as a golden image set up. We just plug it into the network, press go, well, we boot directly into the case deployment. We're able to say, hey, this is the image we want to put on this device. We press go. It takes maybe 45 minutes or so, depending on how much software is on there. And then you have a PC that's pretty much streamlined, based, ready for the user. At that point, we just set up the user customization and the user is good to go. So that does cut down the imaging time by about 80%, I would say. And it's nice to be able to just get it out and get it going. This also brings the ability to help troubleshoot in kind of, what's the sense? Kind of like an emergency response. So if a user's having critical issues or if a user computer goes out completely, we're like, okay, that's great. We can either take that device, troubleshoot it, or pull a device directly from stock. If they're having an issue that's an ongoing issue, we get that device ready in an hour or say, reach out to the user, say, hey, we're going to set up your profile on your new PC. We'll get that set up to their customizations, pull everything from their old PC, put it on there, and we can have them on their way in as short as an hour and a half, I'd say. So that is a project that I was able to spearhead. Chris gave his blessings. We troubleshooted, we worked through it. So we found that this works really well, and it's been tremendous. One thing I will say, this year we did have about 37 PC refreshes. In the span of a day and a half, I was able to connect every PC and have it completely imaged and ready in the span of a day and a half while not having to actively do it myself. So I was able to set them, walk away, come back, grab the next batch, set them, have it deploy, walk away and come back. So it's been a great improvement.
Commissioner Yamas?
So is this new software that's come out?
The software, it's not new. It has been around for a while. This is the first time we've looked into more so streamlining the process because it does tend to take a fair bit of time.
Right.
And when you have a lot, it adds up to a good amount of time. When you go through the initial setup, you go through adding our stuff, and then you go through user customization. So it definitely helps our large scale IT team of just me and Chris.
Right. Right. It's great software.
Any questions?
Let's see. Matt?
I'll just add, having been on the receiving end of a new PC, that was the most streamlined process. Literally, I spent maybe 15 minutes with Josh once I got my new PC, and the way that they have streamlined this, and also it was seamless. It really was, as was the cell phones as well. Really taking advantage of these tools. Standardizing that process, you can tell all those pay big dividends when pushing out new equipment. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's kind of what we look to aim for. We like for it to be kind of seamless, kind of honestly almost a hot swap where we can give you your new device. We can take the old one, we'll get you set up with a few customizations and you'll be on your way. So we don't have to interrupt your workday any more than getting a new PC and having something nice and new.
It's great.
Thank you. I'll kick it back
Thanks,
over.
Josh.
Thank you.
Cool, thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, I just want to credit Josh. He found the product, he implemented it. It was a large lift from the beginning, just to get that ready for us to use. And then there was a large waiting period as we waited for those Dell models to come in. But he did an excellent job. And I don't want to belittle the work at all, but from a high level, imagine in the past, he would need to install, like you said, the Windows updates, wait an hour for that to go through, and then manually install each software for that person's needs. I mean, the build could be as small as 4 additional pieces of software or 10. And we've been relying on scripts that we had written ourselves to kind of streamline that, but this product has really been a big benefit for him, so.
And how was this product discovered? I mean, where did you?
That was Josh, so yeah, I don't know if you want to speak to it, sorry. Yeah, you
So I actually reached out to a few people. I did some internet searches and then I reached out to a few people. I actually do have a colleague that works for West Bloomfield Police Department, and he said, "Hey, this is kind of what we were using. It worked great for us at the time." They decided to move away from it, and then I looked into it. They were able to I looked into the software itself and the capabilities, and then I reached out to the manufacturer's case. They gave us a trial period to use it. We got it set up and I loved it. So it worked out really well. So it did come highly recommended. So I like it.
So your initiative, thank you. Okay, great.
Great, thanks, Josh.
And I also credit both Josh and Chris for being active and participating in GMIS. I think it's really important to have a professional organization that where you can develop those relationships and colleagues. Sometimes those can really spark, hey, what are you doing? How are you accomplishing the same work that we do? And have that that outlet.
Yeah, the My Genius group has been a big resource for us already, just in the year and a half that we've been there, and we've attended 2 conferences now. So there are not many others within the road commission that we can kind of bounce highly technical ideas off of. We lean to our MSP or our managed service provider a lot for that. At the end of the day, they're trying to sell us services though. So this GMIS group is a really good way for us to talk with others in the government sector and say, hey, how are you doing this? How are you compliant on this? Or what issues are you seeing? And then they also have a listserv that we see daily of common issues, or, hey, watch out for this, so-and-so from whatever township's email is hacked, or whatever it may be, some heads up type things. So, yeah, good point, Matt. Okay, moving on. So the next project we did this year, so as we have 5 locations, we have firewalls at each of those locations. At this location, we have 2, one for redundancy, as all the outside yards feed back into this location. So firewall, kind of think of the firewall as the main brain of the whole network. And I just put a graphic in here of the rack. So at the top, it's like the very first thing that the internet hits. The internet comes in from Comcast fiber and goes into the firewall. So the firewall is blocking or allowing traffic through the internet that we deem safe, or blocking that we deem malicious. So again, with our proactive approach, these were due for replacement. And our MSP also recommended that we move to a firewall that they were more familiar with. So that was another recommendation that we took from them, and we're very happy with the ones that we've replaced so far. This was a fairly pricey project at $44,000, but also with that came not just the equipment, but the expertise from the managed service provider, and as well as a 3-year vendor support. So what that vendor support gives us is if there's any hardware failure or any issues with it that it needs to be replaced, they're going to send us a new one for free, fully configured with the backup from the original one. We'll receive it in, unplug the old one, plug the new one in, and we're good to go.
A lot of what is done is risk management, right?
Right.
So Chris and Josh do an excellent job of working with our MSP to kind of talk through these scenarios, and it may be a higher dollar value, but what is the risk to the organization if the firewall were to go down and we didn't have a service contract? How long would it take to reconfigure? So these are a lot of those conversations. So again, do a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, and ultimately that vendor support, I don't have it broken down here, but that vendor support is going to be much cheaper than purchasing a new one, especially for this yard. This yard has more robust firewall than the outside yards do. And again, we have 2 here. So That subscription is gonna be a lot less than purchasing a new one, and we have had to do that in the past with our previous ones. But the redundancy here at this yard is great. If one of those were to fail, it automatically bounces over to the other one. We get an alert, and our staff are none the wiser to it. So that's been a great improvement for this yard. And again, the outside yards, for them to access services that we host, like a RoadSoft or Precision, the network here has to be up for them to be able to get to that. So that's, again, the reason for the redundancy of this yard. With that project, we also included in that $44,000 were new access points. So if you think about kind of your home internet, this would be your router. So these are what give wireless access to everybody in the building. So there's one on every section of the building. There's one in this room. We try to hide them as best as we can. It kind of looks like a spaceship with blinky lights all over it. But, we try to keep them, most cases they're up on the ceiling. But
Where's this one?
it's top secret.
Sorry,
I'm kidding.
I didn't ask.
It's actually under the podium here. So yeah, that was 20 of those were included within that $44,000 for the firewalls.
How many? I'm sorry.
20. Yep. So that's going to be this yard, the remote yards. Some of the remote yards only have the one because they have a very small office space just to provide general internet. Some have 3 or 4. Northeast Service Center has a couple. And actually, I want to thank Traffic and Safety. They brought their lift out. The signal team came out and helped us they got up on the lift and got the ones up into the garage ceiling for us, the big garage up there at Northeast Service Center. So,
And
Mark Fenelon and his team helped with that.
I will also add, going to the different yards, it's really nice. I literally can just take my laptop out of the bag, open it up, log in, and I'm running just as if I were sitting at my desk.
Yep, there's no need to reconnect. It's the same network, same username, password, same
It's amazing.
ID.
Oh, that's
everything.
great.
So,
Yeah, it's really, truly come a long ways.
Yeah.
So thank you.
absolutely.
You've been here how long?
It'll be 8 years in July. Yeah, it was quick. Sticking with infrastructure, another thing we did, so this is a different rack now that I had in the picture before, but we have three host servers and 1 storage server. So you see those labeled 1 to 4 there at the top. Those require a network switch to be able to communicate with each other. So those 3 host servers are all running up to 11, I think we are at this point, virtual servers. And again, that's for redundancy. So if server 1 goes down, those virtual servers are able to bounce over to one of the other 2 to stay online for consistency throughout the organization. But they require a network switch for it to be able to have that communication with the other servers. We purchased 2 again for redundancy because we want to try to avoid what we refer to as a single point of failure. So that by having 1 switch, that is considered a single point of failure, because if it were to stop working, the whole network's going to stop. So again, we want redundancy there. And again, those were end of life. We had them supported under a 6-year call response from HP. So if one of them did have an issue, they would come out and repair it within 6 hours. We were advised, hey, we're no longer supporting these. So it was time to replace those. So we replaced those this year. $21,000 was the price tag on those. And again, that 3-year vendor support. If something breaks on one of them, we've got the other one there to keep it up while HP comes out within 6 hours to replace or repair whatever the problem is. Any questions on infrastructure?
I don't see any.
Moving on to security. So we made a few minor security changes this year. So the first one we did is we've restricted Google Chrome extensions. So Google Chrome extension is essentially a piece of software that you can add to your Google Chrome browser. A lot of times those are third party. In this case, in some cases, there are some AI tools that may be reading company data, and we wanted to restrict that. That wasn't a good way to ensure data security. So we restricted those, and we do have some that are approved. And then if staff bring new ones to our attention and we're able to research it and deem that it is safe, we'll allow them. But we kind of put a restriction on those at this point. Another one we've implemented, and this was kind of a requirement from our MSP, was the blocking of USB flash drives. So studies have shown that a lot of malware attacks or ransomware attacks start with a USB is given to somebody. You know, if we have a vendor gives a USB to somebody, we don't know what's on that. a bad actor could have been in their environment and compromised the USB and then given it to one of, unbeknownst to them, obviously, and then given it to our staff, and now our network's compromised. So there are a few cases where staff are allowed to use USBs. One example is the garage. They get a lot of manuals for the equipment on USB drives. They've received approval to be able to still use the USB, but overall, the majority of staff are not able to use the USB. If they have to, they can come to us and we can get the data off of there safely. We have a way to scan that and make sure that it's safe before we plug or before we open it up to the network. And then, like I said, in some cases, we allow it for the individual. Another great one is John Miles, our surveyor. He has a SD card in his survey equipment that he has to be able to read almost daily. So he's another one that was granted approval to kind of get around that. But like I said, the majority of staff are not able to use the USB flash drive anymore. And really, there's not really much of a need for it as much as there was in the past. With us being on Microsoft 365 and OneDrive, we're able to share documents through the cloud in a much more secure way. So there's not as much of a need to pass that USB around. And even the communications team with a FOIA request, in some instances, they may need to provide a USB to a resident, but most of the time they're able to share that through OneDrive as well.
Commissioner McCollum?
Now, the signature ones that we have, is that a USB?
So good question. While that is a USB, it's not considered a storage device.
Oh.
So I guess I should state that USB storage devices are blocked. So anything that can store data. So
Okay.
those signature USBs are configured in a way that you can't store data. So if you plug that in and open your file explorer, you won't actually see it in the menu of active devices.
Right.
It's hidden. It doesn't allow data to be stored to it. Just like if you were to plug in a USB headset or whatever else may be a USB, if it can't store data on it, it will still work. But if it has that ability to store data, then it'll be blocked.
Okay.
That's a really good question.
So Chris, if we plug something in that we shouldn't, is there a big ugly screen that comes up or?
No, you
an
may get
alarm
a.
Goes off or?
Good question. No, you may get a prompt at the bottom that says it's blocked, but most of the time you just won't see the option to even open it.
Because I know at some vendor fairs or conventions, well, here's a USB drive. This is a little gift for you.
Right.
So
Yeah. So perfect example. What is the cost of this gift, right?
Yeah.
What could possibly be on there? Another example I'll give too is a previous company. We had our marketing team, and our communications team would never do this, as I look at Tiffany, but we had a marketing team that decided they wanted to get a bunch of branded USB drives and give to staff as gifts. They bought them from, I don't know where they bought them from, but they were not a standard USB size. And when these 40 or so staff plugged them into their laptops and pulled them out, the plastic on the USB broke and it left that metal piece in the port, and we could not get it out. It was so jammed in there, we had to throw away about 25 laptops. So not that would happen here, but that's another kind of example that we just want to get away from that. So, but like I said, there are use cases where a USB is needed still. So, and we treat those as one-offs and we allow them as needed. So. Next, Commissioner McCollum, you mentioned the digital signature keys. So we are sticking with those for this year. We renewed the licensing on those. It's been pretty well received from what we've noticed. Staff are using them, and it's a great way to ensure that your signature is your own and issued by the Road Commission. Phishing spoofs. So we still do quarterly phishing spoofs. So that's where we will send an email pretending to look like a spam email. And I'm getting eyes from up here, but yeah, ultimately that's our way to gauge the cybersecurity awareness of the organization. It's not oh, we got you again this quarter. It's really okay, where do we need to enforce some training? And unfortunately, where might some of the weak links be?
Yeah.
If we need to educate that person a little more, like, hey, here's what you should look for. And then we can implement that into our cybersecurity awareness as well. So the last 2 quarters, our director of operations, Adam Lape, sat down with me and we designed one to look like it was from him. And that one was pretty telling at the time. As you're into your workday, you're trying to move quickly and you see a message that looks like it's from your director asking you to do something. And you kind of just go through with your day and you want to get things done and you want to look good to your director, right? So unfortunately, that did get a lot of people. And then we also did one our managing director, Matt McDonnell, sat down with me as well and designed the next one. And that was even more telling. So we've implemented a lot of that into our cybersecurity awareness, which is going on this month. So October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And then in compliance with our cyber insurance, we need to educate staff in some way each year. Anyone that has network access needs to have some form of cybersecurity insurance or training rather, in case there was an incident where we needed to use that insurance. So I think the numbers within the United States, about 70 to 75% of ransomware or malware attacks come from a staff member that's clicked a bad link or had their account compromised in some way. So we want to try to be ahead of that as much as we can, and cybersecurity training is definitely a good way to do that.
So I think our deadline is Halloween, right?
It is, yep. It is October 31st this year, so by the end of the day, if you need an extension, please just let me know. We just have to have something under your name that you saw the training before the end of the year. And then last thing, it just barely made the PowerPoint. We implemented this 2 weeks ago. So we now allow fingerprint and facial recognition on your laptops. So if you haven't set that up yet, we'd be happy to help you with that. That way you don't have to remember your password or type in the 12-character password every time. And this really is the way the industry is moving to. I don't know if you've seen the term passkey at all. Passkeys essentially refer to security devices within your laptop. So when you authenticate with a website or with your Office 365, it's using that security device within your laptop to authenticate you. So that's a way that we can accomplish that and ultimately kind of make staff's lives a little easier than needing to type in a 12-character password every time they log into their laptop. So, and talking with managing director the other day, it seems like that's been pretty well received from staff. So, and these new Dell laptops are great with it too. It's right up at the top, so it works pretty well.
Yes, it also helps reinforce some of the settings that are set from IT is when the device, like if you don't use it for a little while, it powers off and locks the screen. And then that helps with security. Like if I walk away from my desk, then the laptop's going to automatically lock. And then to unlock, you just have to put your finger down and boom. It's nice. I even referenced it in board meetings. I felt rude putting in my password. I'm just working over here. No, I was actually trying to unlock my device. Now I can use the fingertip and it wakes the computer up and unlocks it, which is great.
Because that's a pain. I'm
Yep.
gonna say that. You always have to put it in your, but like,
It's a lot easier.
just walk away for a minute.
So,
Yeah.
yep, you should have the ability. We sent out an email on it a couple weeks ago, but if you'd
Okay.
like some help with that, we can certainly help you set that up. Physical security. So again, proactive measures. Our security camera system was due for a refresh, not the cameras themselves, but the system that sits in the server room and stores all the video data. So that was due for refresh this year. That was around $17,000. We worked with our facilities team and our director of operations as to what we wanted there. Ultimately, to be perfectly honest with you, the system is overkill right now, but that's by design. So right now we can store about 2.5 years of footage. Speaking with our director of operations, Adam Lape, and our facilities manager or facilities supervisor, Dennis Bussey, they would like to see cameras at some of the other yards and maybe some different angles at different facilities. This system will let us do that now. If you think about each camera, as we add more cameras, that's now storing different footage. So that footprint of how much time we're able to go back reduces per camera. So if we go and add more, say we add 5 or 6 more cameras, that may reduce that storage array to maybe 2 years or 1.5 years. So that's kind of the reasoning behind this. We've maxed out the storage on the device so that we can add on in the future. Any questions on security? Okay. Conference rooms. So I'm not sure if you're aware, last week support for Windows 10 ended officially across the United States. So that what that means is if you're still on Windows 10, you're no longer getting security updates. That's personal devices, that's business devices, anything with Windows 10 is officially no longer supported. So from a road commission's perspective, we need to make sure everything's on Windows 11. So all of our staff computers have been on Windows 11 since last year. That was a project we did early 2024. So we were good there. We needed to do our conference rooms. So while if you're in one of the conference rooms, it may not look like that's Windows as you know it, it uses Teams, but it is running Windows behind the scenes. Those were all on Windows 10, and the equipment within those devices was not compatible with Windows 11. They were old equipment, so we needed to purchase new. So we upgraded those earlier this year, and then additionally, the touch screens behind, or touch screens in each room also has a Windows 10 computer in it. So those needed to be replaced as well. And ironically, those screens are being replaced right now. So we have a vendor upstairs and in room 106 that are replacing those, which made me confident to put it on the completed stuff. So those are being done today. So the total cost of those is $24,500. And again, that comes with vendor support.
Is that every year, Chris?
No. The conference rooms are again about 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
Any questions on any of the completed projects before I kind of get into the future? Okay. Artificial intelligence, big buzzword right now in the IT industry. So basically, this is a machine's ability to learn as you work. It's learning what you do and what your habits are, or you can use it to search the internet for you, put together a response, put together a PowerPoint if you wanted to. I'm sure you've seen it in some of the things that you do in your personal lives. There's good and there's bad to it. So we are and already have been using artificial intelligence with some of our monitoring tools. So Office 365 with our subscription comes with a lot of AI tools to help us identify suspicious login habits. If there's a cross-country login that couldn't have possibly happened because you also logged in here at the Road Commission. If it sees you sending any kind of sensitive information, it's going to immediately block that. So an example would be something that looks like a social security number or a bank account number. One of the first things, if someone is into your email or emailing you maliciously, they're going to say, try to impersonate finance or HR and say, hey, we need an updated ACH form or an updated direct deposit from you. We need to change whatever. And if you try to send back your bank account number, our system's going to immediately flag that and alert my team. So that's an example of how we're using AI behind the scenes to help protect our network. Something that staff noticed, so we rolled out Teams Premium to select number of staff. This is an additional subscription within Office 365, but this is a way to get an automatic summary on a meeting that you may be in. So for instance, I could have Teams Premium doing a recording and running in the background of this meeting, and at the end, I would get a nice summarized meeting note list from the Teams application. If you're on a full Teams meeting, and it's kind of different when you're in the rooms because it can't determine who is who, but if you're on a full Teams meeting, it will actually tell you who said what during the meeting. So it's a really cool feature. There's a lot of third-party stuff out there that kind of does the same thing, but this uses some of our data security controls, much like the AI stuff that I mentioned earlier, or the sensitive information stuff that I mentioned earlier. It will not feed that information back into the big artificial intelligence pool, if you will.
Yeah, you'll hear the term open AI.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm getting
Right,
into.
okay,
So,
thank you.
some of the not so good stuff. So there are tools out there. I'm sure you're familiar with ChatGPT, Grammarly are some big ones. There's several out there, hundreds. So ultimately what those tools are doing when you enter information into that or you ask a question, that's feeding into a large data pool referred to as OpenAI. OpenAI is a company, they support this data. And all of that information, anything you put into that is then public information for other AI tools to reference. That unfortunately creates a data security problem for the Road Commission and multiple other agencies. Going back to our MyGMIS group, talking with a lot of the personnel there, the resounding opinion is that that should not be used in a corporate or our organization type of setting. Anyone could put anything into one of those to have this tool read it for them or do whatever they're asking it to do. And then that information is essentially public. I realize we're a public agency and we can be FOIA'd, but there's still, information that we can't get out there. For an example, Grammarly, we were using Grammarly, some staff were using Grammarly in their Google Chrome as an add-in. It could read the entire screen. If you hover over it, it says Grammarly has access to your whole screen to read it and summarize what you're doing. we don't know what may be on your screen. You may be in HR and have information on your screen, and now Grammarly has access to that. Or you may be in finance and now it has access to that. So unfortunately, we have to block some of those free tools that are feeding the big AI engine. But we don't want to take that completely away from staff either. So we are starting a project now with Copilot. So Copilot is also going to be integrated into Office 365. There is an extra subscription for it. But we're in the very, very beginning stages of how we want to use that, and who has the licensing and what controls it has. But ultimately, the way Copilot will work is very similar. You'll be able to put a prompt into it, say, hey, summarize, this email and make it sound more professional, or however you want it to sound, and it'll do that for you. But it also is confined to our data security tools through Office 365 at the same time. So it's a much more secure way for us to use those tools and then also avail the AI tools to our staff. We don't want to be anti-artificial intelligence by any means. I truly believe that organizations that don't use artificial intelligence will fall behind. So we want to make sure we are using it, but we want to use it in a very safe way. Copilot makes sense for us. It's going to be integrated into what we already have as our Office 365 suite. It'll be available in Word, PowerPoint, Excel. It can do a lot of tasks for you and make your job a lot more streamlined and a lot easier to do as far as reports or whatever it may be that staff are using. And we're still working to build some of those use cases too, to see who may benefit from this and ultimately who may not and doesn't need the subscription. Any questions on artificial intelligence? That is the hot new item in technology right now. Okay. Moving on. So another thing we need to replace next year, also on our proactive approach, this is our core switch. So ultimately, in this diagram, is the highlighted portion. Above that, if you can imagine every cubicle in this building or any device that touches the network, all comes into the panel up above that. That then we run an Ethernet cable from that, what's called the patch panel, down to the switch. And that's what gives all those cubes or all the devices network access. And I mean, anything from, like I said, your cube to the cameras in here, the TVs in here, everything has a connection. This is ultimately where it feeds back to if it's not on the Wi-Fi. So this is a very important part of our infrastructure. We do not have a redundant backup for this because it's very expensive, but we do have the HP 6-hour call to repair. So if it does fail, HP is going to be out here pretty quick to repair it. Ultimately, it's going end of life next year. So we want to be proactive in that case to make sure that this gets replaced and fully usable.
Commissioner Amos.
So there's no redundancy. That always makes me nervous, but HP repair, they'll come out and.
Yeah, the contract is to have it repaired within 6 hours of reporting it. So, and then we can revisit this, but in the past, as a leadership team, we've discussed that we're tolerant of that downtime versus the additional cost to have that redundancy layer. Because the other problem with a problem with the redundant one would be someone would need to be on site to move all the cables.
Okay.
There's over 250 cables plugged into this. We could probably identify what the most important ones are, but to have true redundancy, someone would need to come in and unplug all of those and plug them into the new one.
Right. So I guess that was my other part of the question. And as I understand switches, and I used to work on those, it doesn't hold information.
Correct.
It just.
Yep.
Okay.
It's simply passing the internet through to all the devices that need access to it. Yep.
And the other part of the risk for us is now we're building into either you have a mobile hotspot or a SIM card in your laptop, so you can still access Teams, Outlook, anything that's Office 365 in the cloud. So we do have the ability, say if that switch does go down and we've identified, all right, we're okay if we get it back up and running in one business day, because we have other means to do our work or to respond to whatever we need to as part of our job to get that done. That we don't necessarily need to rely on that network cable, that hard wire so to speak. We have other means to do that. So the risk is there, but we have a backup plan of if this were to go down, we've got several ways to continue to do our work.
Right.
Yep,
Well,
good point.
I guess my concern was the loss of information, but there will be no loss
No,
of
correct.
information
No.
because it's just a switch.
It's just a switch.
Yep.
Yep, good question. And I'm with you. I don't like single points of failure either,
Yeah.
but in some cases it does make a little more sense
Yeah.
to have that versus the cost of a second one that's gonna sit there and probably never be used.
Okay.
And especially if we have to come in and replug everything anyway, HP is probably gonna be out here fixing the problem.
Yeah,
before we can do that.
We as a staff at the leadership team level, we talk about these things. Another one that has come up in the past is, should we have two internet providers, right? So right now we have Xfinity, who provides our T1 line. On one occasion that went down, and it was a road project that took out the cable. But we won't name names on that, but ultimately it got restored. But we have Verizon as another provider for cellular access that is kind of the backup. Some organizations say, no, I want AT&T to bring in a T1 line in it as well, but then that comes with a big cost because you're paying for two services and you're only really using one. So it's a pretty big insurance bill, right? To try and avoid the risk there. So these are things that we're continually talking about and trying to assess, what is the best fit for our organization.
Yeah, and that last statement alone, like you have to kind of weigh where the benefit is to your organization. If you're a company like Amazon, you're going to have 3 and 4 layers of redundancy across the globe, right? We have redundancy in some places. As far as data, we have that backed up locally, backed up to the cloud, and then we have it backed up to the cloud across the country. So there are different layers of redundancy to some things, and
Right.
others we're tolerant of that downtime if we need to. But we also have that plan in place, like Matt said, with a Verizon SIM temporarily during that 6-hour window as HP comes out and replaces it. But we're not going to be dead in the water for too long here. But again, next year we want to be proactive and get that replaced because it's end of life.
Okay, perfect. One more question.
Another question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So when you mentioned Amazon, it made me think about the data glitch that they had and how that impacted us, and are we protected from that? Because Amazon owes so many of the, the networks
Right.
that controlled
Yep.
what was going on in the cloud.
Yeah, so we're not affiliated with Amazon in any way. But similarly, we are with Microsoft.
Right.
So we are in the Office 365 cloud space. Any of those providers are never going to guarantee you 100% uptime or 100% data retention. And that's to cover themselves, right? So we do have tools in place to help with that. So if there ever is that weird 2% where Microsoft were to lose our data, we do have a backup on our cloud data as well, so that we can go get it from a different provider. So for security reasons on this recorded meeting, I don't want to say who our provider is.
Right.
But we do have a tool in place that is archiving that data locally and then
Okay.
replicating it to their cloud outside of the Microsoft cloud.
Okay.
In that instance, data is absolutely a point where we want multiple layers of redundancy.
Right.
But
Because I
good
know.
question. Yeah, that outage yesterday was
Yeah.
huge, but thankfully
Right.
didn't affect us.
Oh, great. Okay. Because it affected so much. It affected the operation of phones. It
Yep.
affected so much. And I
Yep.
wondered how it impacted us.
Yeah,
Great.
good question. Moving on. So Acumatica, you're all too familiar with this project. Finance is leading this one to transition our current financial solution over to a cloud-based solution. IT will be involved in that. At the moment, not so much, but we are working with finance as to when will be needed. They're still kind of, I believe, still in the discovery phase and kind of playing with some new setups that they've got ready. One area that we will be involved in is where, if, and how crews will have a tablet in the truck with them. We're still working on how the system is going to work first. And then once we understand that, we can transition that to, okay, how will the staff access that? Do we still need the kiosks out in the break room? Can everyone have a tablet assigned to them? How will that look? So we don't have answers to that yet, but that is something that's being looked at that will likely be in the works in some manner. Our Director of Operations, Adam Lape, has a demo unit already that he's been playing with and trying to see where it's useful for him out in the field before we give it to, or avail it to staff or some staff or however that may look. So.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes, so if at some point, there's some issues, would that go to IT or is there a vendor that would help with it?
Yeah, to be determined. It'll likely still go to IT and then we'll work with the vendor,
Okay.
depending on what it is.
Okay.
So, like I said, we're still very early in the process. And IT hasn't been involved a ton yet, but
Okay.
we certainly will be getting involved once it's time to get it out to everybody and put the proper controls in place and go from there. So. Next, we still want to look at our SharePoint structure. So this has been on here a couple of years now as ongoing in future. We were committed to doing this year, and then we went with the Acumatica tool. So that unfortunately has put SharePoint on hold again. We are still using SharePoint in some effect with our projects. If there's a specific project that we need to consult with other vendors on, we'll use SharePoint within those teams. The Acumatica is actually a great example. So Dan Ackerman and our finance team have been working with the contractor on that project. We've set up a SharePoint site for them to be able to easily share documents with the contractor there. But ultimately, we want to be able to see what stuff can live in the Acumatica cloud before we move everything to SharePoint and then move it again. We don't want to do that to our staff too many times because it becomes very frustrating. I mean, imagine if you were trying to cook in your kitchen and someone moved your utensils all around and then did it again the very next month. It'd be very frustrating. So we want to try to avoid that. We want to make one decision and get it right the first time. So we've got a hold on that. We do have some data in SharePoint, but we're still using our file server largely for most of it. And then the last one I have here is the printer replacements. We kind of talked about that already. So that'll be a high dollar cost next year, but ultimately should be a fairly easy process. We'll need to get the new ones installed for everyone again. But it should be not too terrible, just a high dollar or a high price tag on that. So, and whichever vendor we go with, we plan to do hopefully a field trip to go see the devices and kind of play with the screens, and get a feel for what the user is going to see. That was probably a lessons learned on the last one, that some of the devices we have are not as intuitive as we were made to believe. So we want to go and make sure we're getting hands on the devices, using it. A lot of these vendors have demo rooms now. Like if you walk into Best Buy, you see the laptops everywhere. You can touch them and mess with them, make sure they fit your hands, that kind of thing. So we want to do something similar with the printers. And that is all I have. What other questions? What did I miss? Happy to talk offline too.
Good presentation.
Great, thank you.
Thanks to both of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you
All
never
right,
let me down.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Good job. Thank you.
Our reliance on IT just continues to grow and
Yeah.
exponentially.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Not gonna go away, and it's not gonna dwindle anytime soon. So
Right.
your support and understanding of that is very welcome. So thank you.
I worry about these little road commissions that don't have people like you too.
Yeah.
Can afford people, you know,
I
IT
know.
is so expensive too.
And really what we found too is that relationship with the managed service provider, but also having people here on site to truly understand what the business does is huge. So there are a lot of the smaller ones do only use a managed service provider, and they're relying on, you know, someone in a department that has no IT knowledge at all to report the problem and try to get it fixed. And I can't imagine how frustrating that is for someone with no IT background to try to talk to a managed service provider. And especially when that provider comes in and they know the best, what they deem to be best case solutions, but it may not always be the best for that specific organization. And then for our staff, I've heard time and time again, especially from new hires, that they can't believe that there's someone here on site that they can actually talk to, and instead of having to call a help desk like overseas or something like that.
Yeah, we're very fortunate from the standpoint of size, that we're big enough where we can support internal staffing, which is a great benefit. But Chris and I and Josh have talked at some point, if we were to bring on all of our drivers with a tablet, for instance,
Right.
just an example, not, we don't know that for sure, but that would also bring a workload
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
increase their workload, and we may have to look at, from a staffing perspective, does that make sense? Is it time to, staff up? But
Hmm.
all those things are yet to be determined. Right now, it's a great model, it's working very well. But to your point, both of you, technology isn't going away. In fact, we're more reliant on it
Yeah.
every year. And these subscriptions and, no, it's end of service life, that's not being supported anymore. All these things are forcing us to continue to invest and be very proactive, and being aware of where that budget takes us as well. We're fortunate, Chris and Josh do a great job of finding very cost-effective solutions and maintaining that budget. But those things like AI or Copilot, like that, they're not doing that for free. All that comes with licensing, and we're just being have to have a business case and make sense, and it has to be a benefit to staff. Sometimes you can utilize technology and reduce staffing levels at times, that can make sense. But we've done that in the past, and we've eked out enough efficiencies, but we continue to rely on this technology, which helps us be very responsive and helps us stay current, but it comes at a cost.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say too is, while a managed service provider is great, they're ultimately there to sell you something. So having somebody here that can say, no, we don't need that, or, let's look at something else. I mean, they're always going to try to sell you gold standard. So understanding how the business works and what your needs are, from somebody internally is also huge. I mean, some of the other organizations that just have an MSP, and I'll talk with them about things they bought, and I'm like, it's overkill. So
Yeah.
It's been an eye opener working closely with Chris and Josh and understanding that part of the organization and the business.
Did you have a question, Commissioner?
Yeah, through the chair once more. IT changes so much. So how are we, or how are the two of you handling new technology and the new information that comes out? Are you required to go to school every year or take classes, like teachers are, as nurses are? And IT, I would think it not necessarily a requirement by, your degree, but how are you staying on top of that so the organization stays on top?
yeah, good question. Continuing education is not a requirement. You're correct. But we do stay on top of things through our managed service provider. We have biannual meetings with our main contact over there. They have a lot of suggestions. We have a great conversation with him every time as to what the trends are, some things we should be aware of. That my GMIS group has been huge for that, talking with individuals just on the listserv, and then the conference has been huge as well. Josh went to 2 conferences this year. He went to the GMIS conference, and they spoke a lot to artificial intelligence. They always have a ton of vendors there saying, hey, these are the new things. How can we help you with that? He also went to the Dell conference this year, saw some of the new technology that they're coming out with. And then obviously we're plugged in a lot of Microsoft forums, other forums that you may see. We see a lot of the cybersecurity announcements. I get the US, the government cyber, I forget the name of it, but there's a government listserv that you can be on too that sends the monthly vulnerabilities. So I'll get those. We see a lot of the stuff from Microsoft. So there's a lot of different avenues that we receive that and kind of keep up to date on things. And then we both have friends in the industry too, both in the private and public sectors, that we bounce ideas off of. A lot of my friends down in Ohio are still, that I went to school with, are in very similar positions as myself. I was just there last weekend and they were talking about different things that they're doing in their organizations. And the artificial intelligence came up, and they also were like, yeah, some of the free tools, you have to get it out of your organization. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
Yeah.
Josh, how long have you been with us?
Coming up on 5 years.
Does that include your internship?
No, it does. I feel like this should.
Been great.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks for the
Chris.
in-
Thank
job.
you. Thanks.
interaction. I appreciate the questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
All right.
Anything else?
No,
Matt?
did not have
Okay.
anything else.
If there is nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Support.
If you'd call the roll, please, Shelby.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, we are adjourned. We will return at 1 o'clock for our regular meeting.